Hi there, business owner. Are you looking to improve your business knowledge? Do you want to see behind the scenes of successful businesses? And more importantly, are you looking to build a better business in just 15 minutes each week? If so, you're in the right place. Welcome to the 3Bs podcast. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the 3Bs podcast. As always, I'm your host Stephanie, and this week we're going to dive right into project management. More specifically, my 10 top tips for effective product management, because applying these tips can boost your business's efficiency, output, and help you to build a better business, which is why we're all here. Whether you're a seasoned project manager or new to the field and it's not something you do actively or consciously, these tips will hopefully help you to navigate the complexities of some project management aspects and help you to stay organized, meet deadlines, and achieve your project goals efficiently. Now, depending on the level of project you are completing, some of these tips may not be relevant and some of them may not need detailed, structured project management plans. But even if you're not physically writing them down, you will be creating a project management plan for every project in your business, or your team members will be creating those plans, because that's how we get things done. So let's get straight on with the episode. We're going to split these tips into 3 different segments so that you can see the different steps in project management. And I'm going to group the similar tips together for a similar stage of the project management process. So segment 1 is planning and initiation, which is the first step that you're always going to take. Effective project management starts with meticulous planning and initiation. So that's just getting started and the planning stages. Like I said, depending on the complexity of the project that you are working on, the different degrees of detail that is required in these project management plans will vary. But here are some top tips to get your projects off the ground successfully whilst being as efficient as possible. Tip 1 is to make sure that you define clear objectives and scope. So before you start any project, it's really important to have a look at what your end goal is. What is success? What is an achieved project? What is a successful project? And what are the goals and objectives that you are looking for with the particular project you're managing? You need to set clear, measurable objectives that align with your business goals. These projects that you are managing should always link back to your business goals. Also, you need to outline the project scope to make sure that everyone understands whether you're working on your own or you're working in a team, what is included, and importantly, where the boundaries are. Where are the boundaries? What's not included in this project? Because scope creep is something that's so common in the entrepreneur industry. Scope creep is where you just do those couple of extra little things that you've not included in maybe your cost proposal. So it happens a lot in my bookkeeping and accountancy practice where we just do that one extra bit of credit control. We just chase the payment for that one invoice for them and we don't charge for that. And that's what we call scope creep, because once you've done it once or twice, the client often expects you to keep on doing it. And then when you suddenly introduce a fee because you're charging your worth, they can't understand why, because they've always got it for free. Tip 2 is to develop a detailed project plan. Now, as I said, the level of detail will vary depending on the size and complexity of the project that you're managing, but a comprehensive project plan should be included. And what I mean by comprehensive is it should include timelines, so how long things should take and maybe different milestones along the way, resources you're going to need, and the budget you're going to need. So what people are going to be used, what tools are you going to need. If it's a large project, you may want a project management software or tool to help you visualize the project timeline and the dependencies, so things that are relied upon other parts of the project being completed before you can do them. A well-documented plan is going to be your roadmap and your guide to help keep the team focused and on track and not stray too far, to get it done in the most efficient amount of time possible without too many distractions. And tip 3, which is the final one in segment 1, is to identify stakeholders and communicate effectively. Now, that's quite a broad topic, But it's really important to identify all stakeholders at the beginning of a project. Now, stakeholders are not to be confused with shareholders. So if you're a solopreneur or a sole director of a company, it's likely that you don't have any other shareholders or directors within the company. But stakeholders can mean suppliers, clients, team members, and that's anyone that is going to be affected by the project that you're planning out or that you're carrying out. And then it's important to establish a communication plan, because not everybody communicates in the same way. Not everyone receives communication methods in the same way. And it's really important to ensure you are communicating with them in the way that they best understand and you can best get your information across to them. Some people are visual learners. Some people prefer to have emails rather than a phone call, for example, and some people prefer good old-fashioned face-to-face. So you need to look at tools like email newsletters and meetings to get across what's going to be happening in the project, but also to keep them updated as the project goes on. Now, on to segment 2, which is execution and monitoring. So once your project is underway, effective execution, which just means carrying out the project, and the monitoring are essential to keep things running smoothly and on time and on track. And it's not one of those things that for most projects you're going to plan them out and then let them run their course. There is that monitoring and that ongoing overview of it that's important too. So my tip 4 is to utilize methodologies that are quite agile. So utilizing methodologies such as Kanban or Scrum promote flexibility and iterative progress. They basically say that you need to break your projects into smaller, more manageable tasks or little sprints and review progress regularly. If you have a whole mountain to climb, you're going to be quite overwhelmed by the mountain ahead of you. If you've only got to take 2 steps, it feels much more doable, overwhelms are slightly to kick in, and therefore you're more likely to get the project moving and keeping on time. Tip 5 is to regularly monitor progress and adjust as needed. So many times business owners will start a project and then either forget about it and not come back to it, or leave it to run its course without going back and reviewing it. Like everything in business needs to be reviewed and monitored. Everything in business, everything that you do needs to be checked for efficiencies. It needs to be made the most efficient, the most productive, the most beneficial to your business, and ultimately makes you more profitable. Using project management tools to track progress against your original plan is a good way to keep on track, because you've got quite a good visualization and you can invite all your team members in so you can see where everybody's at on quite an overview level of the whole project. Tools like Trello or Asana, or we use ClickUp in the practice, can provide real-time updates and dashboards to monitor task completion, deadlines, and how much resources you're actually using. What we really love about ClickUp is when we've got a project in progress, we can add notes to the file. We can have like a little chat screen on the right-hand side so that we can talk to each other across the team, so that everybody knows what everyone else has done and nobody's doing the same job twice, because that's a waste of resources. Tip 6 is to manage risks proactively. So quite often business owners and entrepreneurs that we've worked with will look at their risks at the beginning of a project and then never look at them again. And it's really important to identify the potential risks at the beginning and monitor to see if they're actually becoming higher risk, or if they've actually happened, or if they haven't happened at all, because all that data will help when you're making a plan next time. Also, you can develop your mitigation strategies. A great example of that is that we have moved all of our clients at our practice from Dext, which is a receipt capture tool, over to Apron Capture, which is a new receipt capture tool, which we feel has better functionality and is a much better fit for ourselves in the practice and for our clients. Migrating all of our clients over from one software to another has its risks. We have the risks of lost receipts. We have the risks of clients being unhappy because they can't access the new systems. We have risks of not training them well enough. And all of those risks, we have come up with a backup plan. So there's a functionality that's not currently in Apron Capture that we used in Dex, but the benefits of Apron Capture outweighed the what we're going to lose, and we've had to come up with a new strategy around that to make sure that the tasks still get completed, but in the most efficient way possible without the tool that we were used to use. When you have these risk plans, regularly review them and update to reflect new risks and the changes in project circumstances, because whatever happens, the best will in the world, whatever we plan, never ever happens. There's always a hurdle or a bump in the road or something in the project that changes, and you have to be able to adapt to that. And if you're not reviewing them regularly, the changes are not going to be reflected, so they're more likely to hurt the project and damage and delay the project if you can't foresee them before they happen. Tip 7, and the last one of segment 2, is to encourage team collaboration and accountability. Like I said, in the practice, we use ClickUp, and we have that little chat box on the right-hand side where people can post questions and updates and things that we can be ran in like a chat format. I know other companies that use things like Slack or Microsoft Teams or even Zoom for regular check-ins and updates as the project's going through. With ClickUp, we can also like tag certain team members in to ask them for an update as well, which it encourages that accountability culture. And we all know as business owners, accountability is key. Like somebody there to keep you going when it gets hard, somebody there to question what you've done. That deadline that's approaching can also be an accountability thing. It's really important to use that to your advantage in business. And segment 3 is closing and review. So as your project nears completion, it's important to make sure it's closed down effectively and that you learn from anything that happened in that experience and that project you carried out. Tip 8 is to conduct a thorough review and evaluation. It's so important to not just complete a project and put it to one side. Like, conduct a comprehensive review, evaluate its success based on what you planned at the beginning, assess whether the project objectives you set out were met. If they didn't, why not? Look at what went well, look what didn't, what could be improved next time, and get feedback from all those people that were involved. So all your stakeholders will be able to give you insights into their perspective and their experiences on the project. Tip 9 is to document the lessons learned. Like, if you do a project and things don't go right and you don't learn from the lessons you learn and the mistakes you made, there's no point. You're just wasting time and you're going to make the same mistakes again and you're going to have a less effective project. Document the lessons learned. That can be successes, that can be challenges, that can be adjustments that you've made and why they had to be made, and use that to inform future planning for future projects. Whether they're exactly the same project that's repeated, like a task that you repeat, or whether it's something completely new, you can see and what went right and what went wrong and use that data to make a more informed decision going forwards. And finally, top 10, celebrate your successes and recognize the efforts that went into this project, whether it was successful or not. It's so important to look back and review how far you've come. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, if you're in the business on a day-to-day basis, you can often not see how far you've come. And those little boosts of, oh, we did it 10 times better than we did last time, or we did it in half the amount of time we did it last time. Those little boosts are what are going to help you through those hard times as an entrepreneur, those dips in the roller coaster that we have. Celebrate the successful completion of the project with your team and your stakeholders. And it's really important for team morale to recognize the hard work and dedication of everybody involved from the top to the very bottom. Acknowledging the efforts will boost morale and foster a positive work environment, setting the foundations for future project successes because they're going to be motivated and want to help you achieve those goals that you have in mind in your business. And that brings us to the end of another episode of the 3Bs podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Please connect with us on social media. Like, rate and review wherever you are listening to this podcast so that I can help more business owners build a better business. See you next week.